Hello everybody and welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. Today we are going to be doing a Precon upgrade on the deck Urza's Iron Alliance. This deck looks pretty interesting, but I see one flaw. When you're ahead, you're going to feel like really good. But when you're behind, you're going to feel like you're doing nothing. This deck wants to go wide, and if you're not going wide, you're just creating a 1-1 every turn, and that feels kind of bad. So we're going to fix that today by making the deck more consistent and adding some cards that make this deck go really wide. Before we get into the good stuff, this deck needs more card draw. Rubblesmith, this guy's going to allow you to fill your graveyard and draw some cards while you're doing it. Vidalcan Archmage, same thing. Every time you cast an artifact spell, you're going to draw a card, and that's going to amount to a lot of advantage over the course of a game. Artificer's Assistant, while it's not card draw, this guy's going to let you scry, and that's going to be very good over the course of a game, right? Shiraki Genesis Engine. This guy's insane because not only is he going to draw you a card, but he's going to fill your graveyard with stuff you need, and he's going to create a token. Notably, you don't really care about the token, but it's an 8/8 that's just going to generate you a lot of value and just hit like a truck. So we welcome him into the deck. Some ramp options we have are Smothering Tithe. I know it's got a little bit of a pricier price tag, but this card's going to be insane because every time you create one of those treasure tokens, your constructs are going to get massive. We do add the Talisman Cycle because it's just effective ramp, and again, it's going to make those constructs really big. Ashnod's Altar, it's going to be really efficient in the deck. Sacrifice our artifact creatures to gain some mana, and then Wayfarer's Bauble. It's just really efficient. Alright, now let's get into the fun stuff. We have Biotransference. This new card from the Necron Precon is going to make all of our creatures artifacts, and whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can lose 1 life and create a black Necron Warrior artifact creature. So that's going to make our board wide and our constructs massive. Meridian Besieged. This is another card where it's very flexible. We can either have it as card advantage or pseudo advantage, and or we can just use it to make a massive board state. Canoptic Scarab Swarm. We all know that one graveyard player in our deck that's always just got 30 cards or 30 creature cards in their graveyard. Well, this is going to just make you a ton of artifacts, and those constructs are going to get massive. Mirror Retriever, Emery Lurker of Lock, Scrap Trawler, Junk Diver, and Workshop Assistant. These cards are going to make it to where you always have access to your graveyard. They're artifacts, they fit the theme, and honestly, I don't know why they don't include them. Because including these 5 cards are going to make it to where your deck's going to function a lot smoothly. Whenever you wipe the board, you'll be able to build back really fast. And like I said, you'll just have access to your deck using your graveyard, and that's going to be really useful. Finally, we have Spellskite. Just because this guy's annoying and really fun to play with. They try to destroy something and you're like, actually, nah, you get to destroy this guy instead. Finally, we have Imhotep the Stormlord. This guy is going to make you a massive board state. Remember that recursion package we added? Now, every time you recur something, you're creating those Necron Warrior creatures. And that's going to make your board go wide really fast. He also does buff and give menace, so that's notable. And this guy's going to be really good in the deck, really efficient, and just do what the deck wants to do. That's going to do it for all the upgrades. Stay tuned, and I'm going to tell you what I cut from the deck. Scholar of New Horizons. I never thought I'd say this, but these colors just have better options for ramp, so we don't need this guy. We'd rather have an artifact, right? Whirler Rogue. This guy's not an artifact, not an artifact creature. He creates 2 artifacts and then dies, and you can tap 2 artifacts, and a creature can't block this turn. Not very useful, not going to be very impactful throughout the game. Hexavus. This thing's crazy, right? It enters the battlefield with 6 counters on it, remove a counter from him, put a flying counter on another target creature, but it doesn't do enough for what it costs. Sharam the Hedgemon. This one's the same thing. It just doesn't do enough for what it costs. He enters the battlefield, you return an artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. But with the recursion package that we added, it's going to be way more efficient than this guy. Angel of the Ruins. This guy just costs way too much for the thing it's offering, so we had to cut it. Relic of Progenitus. This one, it's not very effective, let's be honest. Exile all graveyards, draw a card. I mean, we added a Canoptic Scarab Swarm, so that's going to do that plus more. Kyla's Music Box. Look at the top card of your library, then exile it face down. Until end of turn, you may play cards you own from exile with Kayla's Music Box. I'd rather just draw a card, so we cut it. Sphinx's Revelation. You gain X life and draw X cards. This is not a ramp deck. You're not going to be able to generate a lot of mana with it, so an X spell in it really doesn't make sense to me. Dig Site Engineer. I'm just personally not a fan of cards where you have to pay mana while you cast something to get an effect, because that's essentially adding 2 mana to every artifact spell you cast if you want this ability. It's not worth it. Etched Champion. Apart from having protection from everything, this card's not going to do much in the deck. Master of Ethereum. I cut all of the cards that get buffed off of the artifacts you control because I'd rather just have an artifact. I know he's an artifact, but he doesn't do much with no artifacts on the battlefield. Same with Filigree Attendant. If you play this and you have nothing on the field, it doesn't do anything and it doesn't farther your board state to a victory. Thought Monitor. This one, I cut it just because of the cost. And I know you can cut the cost down and it can be really efficient. But when you need to draw cards from behind, you would rather just have something that draws you cards. That's what I'm saying. This deck was built around being ahead. So I cut the cards that you wanted to use when you were ahead, because a lot of the times you won't be ahead, or sometimes you won't be, you know? Preordain. This one, it's not that good in Commander unless you're trying to set up your top deck. Urza's Ruinous Blast. This card makes no sense to me. All right, you create this massive board state of artifacts and then destroy everything except for legendary permanents. That just doesn't make any sense to me, because the permanents that you're probably going to want to get rid of that your enemies have are legendary, and you're not casting a ton of legendary cards in this deck. You're casting artifacts, and I just don't know why this is in the deck, honestly. One with the Machine. This one, again, I'm just cutting cards that's good while you're ahead. If you have a massive cost artifact on the battlefield, you're probably doing pretty good. Steel Overseer. This one can generate value over the long game, but like I said, I cut the cards that do nothing when you don't have a board state. Chief of the Foundry, same thing. Wire Surgeon. This one, the cost is pretty insane, and instead of our artifacts having Encore, I'd rather just have them. You know what I mean? This seems like it would be a better card for the other deck, because you could Encore something and then sack those things and then get value off of it. But in this deck, it doesn't really make that much sense to me. So that's everything I cut. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. I had a lot of fun upgrading this deck, and let me know what you think about the upgrades. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you. It really helps me out.